What are goosebumps, yawning, and other strange responses? Crying. Of all the animals that can experience sadness, we are the only species that show it by secreting water from their eyes. We know 3 kinds of tears. Basal tears, which keep the cornea lubricated all the time. Reflex tears, which appear in response to irritation, like when you chop some onions or someone pokes your eye. And emotional tears, unique to humans. These emotional tears contain, in addition to water, oils, and a gel-like material called mucin, complex chemicals like the hormone corticotropin, which accumulates after prolonged periods of stress, and leucine and enkephalin, a natural analgesic that lowers pain and improves mood. Even though there is no consensus among scientists concerning the true purpose of crying, some emphasize its importance as a means of communication, it's true that most of us will feel better after a painful event if we allow ourselves a good cry. Yawning. All vertebrates yawn spontaneously, including snakes and lizards. It's really amazing that such a frequent response is still a mystery to science, because it usually happens when we are tired or sleepy. Some studies suggest that yawning helps to expel residual carbon dioxide and saturate us with oxygen. Another recent study indicates that yawning helps cool our brains, which, like computers, can get overheated. But the most mysterious thing about yawning is its contagiousness. Nobody knows why, but it's been proved that seeing others yawn, especially if it's a relative or a friend, makes us feel like yawning. That's why scientists think that yawning when others yawn is a sign of empathy and a form of social bonding. Did you just yawn too? Hiccups. A hiccup occurs when the diaphragm, the muscle that controls the lungs, contracts in a sudden manner, provoking a fast inspiration of air that is followed by closure of the vocal cords that produces the characteristic sound. It can be caused by eating or drinking too fast or by some altered emotional state. Where does it come from? Because it only happens to mammals and babies present it more than adults, one hypothesis says that a hiccup is part of a reflex arc that synchronizes suckling and breathing. Hiccups would help us as babies to expel the air that gets trapped in the stomach by burping to avoid colic. Another hypothesis states that hiccups are a reflex that was inherited from our amphibian ancestors. Tadpoles breathe using a mechanism that is very similar to hiccups, and when we are fetuses, this mechanism develops long before that of pulmonary breathing. We can get the hiccups even before we can breathe. Laughing. This emotional response could be the topic for a whole episode. Actually, many books have been written about humor which try to explain why we laugh. One of the hypotheses is that we laugh when, having received and decoded some amount of information, new data make us reinterpret everything we've learned in a sudden and surprising way. Just like when we are being told a joke and the punchline makes us understand the whole story in a different way from what we expected. Another hypothesis says that laughter appears when we perceive that something which looked very dangerous turns out to be without consequences. Seeing that somebody falls and breaks an arm does not make most of us laugh. But if that person is not hurt and gets up looking more concerned about having been seen, it might cause laughter. What's true is that laughing releases endorphins, substances that reward our brains by relieving pain. Laughter improves blood circulation, lowers the concentration of stress-causing hormones, and even improves antibody production, which makes laughing an all-around healthy activity. Goosebumps. That odd sensation that our skin crawls or we get the goosebumps when it's cold, when we feel strong emotions, or sometimes for no reason at all, is called the pilomotor reflex. Our body, like most mammals' bodies, is covered with hair. Each little hair on our skin is housed in a dermal structure called a hair follicle. These follicles are connected to the smallest muscle in our bodies, the arrector pili muscle. This muscle reacts automatically without our intervention in the presence of adrenaline, the hormone that we release when something scares or excites us. Scientists think that this reflex was inherited from our more hairy ancestors. Making their hair stand on end allows other animals to conserve heat in cold weather, and, in a dangerous situation, makes them appear larger and more threatening, just like cats do. It's not very useful for us, but we're left with these reflex or vestigial response that triggers the also called horripulator muscles. Oh, by the way, the word horror comes from Latin and means standing stiffly with your hair standing on end. Just curious. Please subscribe to our channel and visit our webpage at justcurious.com. Did you subscribe? I'll wait for you here. No, don't go watch another video without subscribing first. The red button that says subscribe. Yes, that one. Click it. Thank you.